if you want to be able to sign the perfect dream well client, then this is for you. If you don't know how to do it, then watch this video, okay? Because I'm going to break down in detail how you can sign whales in 2026, all right? Awesome. So, first and foremost, you're probably thinking, who the hell am I and why should you listen to me? Because I'm just a random person talking on the internet. I'm a random bold person talking on the internet. So I've got to back up my claim. So my name is Dan James, and I used to run a content agency and I was able to scale it to 30, 40K a month just by utilizing these strategies that I'm going to outline today, okay? And my brand new offer, Linko, is all around doing this for other people. Now, there's my social proof deck. If you go into the description below, you'll see a ton of social proof there. So awesome. So, we're going to break down exactly how you can pick and research your next dream well client, like in granular detail, okay? Awesome. So picking your dream well client. Now, first and foremost is they need to have a huge LTV, okay? They need to be worth at least 2x your CAC. Now, I don't want to assume that everybody knows these terms. So CAC stands for cost to acquire a customer. It's simply, how much money do you have to spend to turn this person to a customer? Because ultimately we're all spending resources, either in the form of capital or time, simple as that. And then LTV stands for lifetime value. I honestly prefer to say lifetime gross profit, but this is how much money somebody spends over the entire lifetime that they're with your business. It's really as simple as that. So in this case, if your cost to acquire a customer is, I'm going to work with big numbers, is $25,000, then you would want your LTV to be $100,000. That gives you a nice, sexy 4-to-1 ratio and $75,000 to play with, okay? And even if it's on a smaller scale, you'd want the cost to acquire a customer to be around $655, and you'd want the LTV to be something like $7,000. That gives you an even better return. You're almost rocking with beyond a 10-to-1 there. So the point is that if you're going to do this outreach for someone who's going to outreach to a dream world client, you need to make sure that it's absolutely worth you and your business. The next thing is high authority. So this could be a logo means a company, or a person that recalibrates your entire deck. You don't want to be reaching out to people that aren't making you think, wow, or aren't very, very coveted in the industry. The entire point of working with a well client is that it should be daunting. It should be someone you think, if only I could reach out to them, if only I could work with them, okay? They need to have very, very high authority in the space. The reason being is that once you are able to sign that very high authority person in the space, everything else is a trickle effect. Trickle down economics, Ronald Reagan. Everything else, everything else works downstream. Because if you're working with, let's say for example, I'm going to use sales, okay? If you're working with people in the sales recruiting agency and you're able to sign Cole Gordon, who as far as I'm aware is the biggest guy in the space, then every single other person that's smaller than Cole Gordon will just fall in line. Because if you're on a sales call and they say, well, why are you qualified? You can say, I completely understand that question. Well, due to the fact that we've been working with the biggest sales agency, including Cole Gordon, they're going to go, huh? And they're going to fall in line simply because you're already working with somebody bigger than them. So high authority recalibrates your entire deck. The next thing is peer network. So their friends are also whales. Now, this is almost a given with number 2, but you want to work with whales because they're going to refer you to other whales, and that will actually allow you to have more people that are far bigger into your network. Awesome. Case study fit. So the next thing is that it needs to, again, be someone that has stood the test of time, someone that you can continue to talk about, or someone that you can put on your site or whatever it may be for an extended period, okay? This again fits into the recalibration of the logos and deck. Awesome. So the first thing is that your outreach research is likely broken, okay? No trust. So this is the game. When people do outreach via LinkedIn or cold email or whatever it may be, there is very little trust being built. And that's why people are playing this percentage game, the 5%, 6%, 7%. They're fighting for higher percentages because nobody trusts them, and frankly nobody cares about anything they're saying. Okay, so the actual reason your prospects ignore you is not to do with your offer. Before you send 100,000 plus emails or create a 10-step automated email sequence, you have to ask yourself, will this make people actually want to talk to me? More often than not, the answer is an astounding no. So yes, you can have the best offer ever. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do that. You need to ask yourself, do people even want to have a conversation with me before I start spamming them in the DMs? Okay. So the 3-minute LinkedIn skim is killing outreach. So what most people do is they open LinkedIn, scan their headline, glance at their last post, done. That's not research. And they immediately hit them up. I get this all the time. But instead, what you need to do is you need to do deep research around the prospect. And you can do this all with AI, okay? And your prospect is being hit with so many shit messages, so many shit emails that the bar is in hell. So if you just do more research than everybody else, you're just going to win. Cool. So you're researching the company. You should be researching the company and the human. So most people, when they do research, although it's not even research, is they'll look at the company size and the stage, what their company sells, recent funding rounds, their job title. Cool. Now, I received one person who did an outreach to me about the university that one of my staff members went to. And I was like, why would I? Like, I'm happy for my staff that they're well educated, but why would I care? Like, doesn't mean anything. It's not poignant to me, my business, my problems, or anything that's going on. Okay. So instead, what you need to do is you need to search their personal goals and ambitions. So I used Cole Gordon before, so I'm going to use Cole Gordon again. Cole Gordon said in one of his YouTube videos, I don't know how to reach out to enterprise. I want to go up market. That is a personal goal and it's an ambition of his. It would make tons of sense to make my outreach video around that. So then, stories they tell on podcasts. That's another great one to talk about. Hobbies that they bring up unprompted. The country, sport, or film they love. The signal that proves you saw them. So yes, you need to understand their business. And understanding their business means not just their company size and stage. That's a bunch of crap. You need to look at the deep things that are going on in their LinkedIn posts, the things that they continue to talk about, the things that they continue to mention in podcasts, the things that make them tick. And this is so easily done with 20 minutes of research. You honestly probably could do it with 5 minutes of research and AI. Like it's more the intention to do it than the actual work of doing it, if that makes sense. If you set the intention of doing it, which sounds so woo, you will actually be able to do this so much better than everybody else. So surface level research is now a commodity. Everybody is doing I saw you're hiring or you raise money. Like that's not signal. That's not actually real signal based intent. And these dream world clients, 99.9% of them, they're going to have content online. They're going to have tons of available information. So you just utilize all of that to create your outreach. And the next thing is a 3-layer research framework. So you need to learn about them as a person and about the business too. So on a professional level, you need to know that who they are at work, role, company stage, public goals, recent wins, competitive landscape. So that's just the skeleton, the framework. That's what most people start and stop there. Then who they are off work, podcast interviews, LinkedIn comments, hobbies, the human behind the title. Then signal. This is the detail that becomes the hook. So the one personal trigger you can turn into a creative outreach action. So this could be maybe they're hiring, but then you create your outreach around their hiring. You don't say, oh, I saw you're hiring, but you say, I know you're hiring, so this is the problem that I saw, so this is how I can solve the problem. You see how it's far deeper. You can't just say, you're hiring. Why are they hiring? They're hiring because they want to scale further and get to 8 million ARR. That's what they care about. That's the piece of information we're talking about. Amazing. Why the order matters. So layer 1 gives you the context, layer 2 gives you the human, and layer 3 gives you the hook. Awesome. So how long this actually takes? So I've had people say this to me like, oh, this must take you ages. No. I think it's pretty commonplace, so I can speak about this. I flew to Lebanon just to sign one person. I scripted the video in 25 minutes, literally 25 minutes, because I just went through his content very briefly and quickly and said, all right, cool, this is the problem, this is how I think I can help. Boom. It was that easy. And that script worked. He signed as a client before hopping on the call. So this doesn't have to take mountains of work. Naturally, you need to understand their business. You need to understand your business very deeply, but of course you shall and you will, because we care about our business here. And here I put total per prospect, 4 to 6 hours. Honestly, that is on the That is on the max, max, max. That's if something's gone wrong, fundamentally wrong. So professional research. What you're looking for in layer one. So in layer one, you're looking for the exact role and what they actually own day to day, the company's current stage and trajectory, public goals, recent wins, obvious competitive pressure they're under, anyone they've publicly worked for or partnered with before. You're just getting a strong understanding of the landscape of the business, okay? And these are some of the best places to look. LinkedIn, company websites, press mentions, Crunchbase, PitchBook, their team page. Anything that's public facing that they actively update is a great way and a great place to look. And here you can see all the different things we're capturing and then where to find it, etc. And this is actually a checklist. If enough of you guys say, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this, then I will link this in the description. Equally, I have a complete full guide in the description. I actually have 10 full guides. So you can just put your email in, name, email, you know the game, and then I'll just send it to you. Check spam as well, because currently it's going to spam as it's a new email. All right, cool. Personal research. So what we're looking for here is we're looking what makes them a human being. So you, the person watching this, do you have things that you care about? You have things that you're interested in. You have things that that make you tick, okay? And we want to learn what those things are in full. So podcast is a great place to find information because people let their hair down, metaphorically, people let their hair down and they are fully themselves, okay? So what you're actually looking for, the country they keep referencing because maybe that's their country of origin, the hobby they bring up unprompted, the sports team or athlete they've mentioned twice, the film, book, podcast. This is just them as a human being. And the way to think about it is think about your best friend or a close friend. You could write a book about who they are, their interests, their quirks, and what makes them a human being. That's the type of research, and that's what we're looking to do here, okay? Awesome. LinkedIn comments are great too, Twitter as well. But simply put, just wherever they're being human. Cool. Next one is signal. Excuse me. I'm a human being. We leave that in. All right, cool. So what signal actually means? So a signal is a personal detail that hits all three of these criteria. So the prospect cares about it. Almost no one knows it, and it can be turned into a creative action. So let's say, for example, you had to do some digging. So you saw that, they're looking to sign enterprise clients, but they want to sign enterprise clients that are the real estate syndication firms. And that's something that was in the comments of one of their LinkedIn posts. Now, again, you can have AI do this, but going deeper and just showing that extra level of research makes a big difference because it shows the prospect that you are actually seriously do mean business. Cool. So what a good signal looks like. A country they keep referencing, the hobby, specific year or moment, person, whatever it is. Like, for example, one of my former clients, a guy called Evan Seach, great guy. He's a massive Cavs fan. He loves the Cleveland Cavaliers, although they just got destroyed in the playoffs by the Knicks. Swept. You could talk about the fact that he loved the Cleveland Cavaliers in outreach. He's going to mention it somewhere. Maybe he's tweeting it. Maybe he's talking about his Instagram. Somewhere it's going to be mentioned. You just have to do the research. Awesome. Here's some real signal examples. So Lebanese heritage mentioned in interviews. We flew to Lebanon. Love skiing. We made a skiing movie. Mentioned coconuts on a podcast. We sent one to their HQ. Do you get the idea? Cool. And here we've got all the different examples that we can rock with too. Amazing. So research brief. So once you've done all the research, the next thing that you need is you need a one-page brief template. So this could be professional snapshot, personal snapshot, signal candidate, and creative concept. So let's say from a professional perspective, they are a CEO, and they the next goals of the company is to get to 8 million ARR. And the way they want to go about that is by signing real estate syndication firms, in particular, real estate syndication firms doing, 50 million in revenue per year, and they're in California, and they want to be able to sign them by this date, by this method. Do you see how I'm painting a picture? If this was a canvas, you can see, like, when I started this professional snapshot, I was like drawing it in, and then as time goes on, I'm just drawing more of this map, more of this painting. Then we go to the personal snapshot, because personal goes a long way. So yes, we know who they are as a CEO. Now let's think about who they are as a person. So let's say they absolutely love cricket. I'm a massive cricket fan. Okay, cool. This is their favorite team. This is their favorite player. These are the things that they care about. This is music they love. This is the podcast they listen to. This is their favorite sports team. And you start to paint that picture too. And you can sprinkle that in throughout your outreach. And it will give you that personal touch, that Midas touch. The next thing is signal candidates. So these are, yet again, things that are relevant to their business, but you had to dig for. So, as I said, real estate syndication firms, but they want to work with real estate syndication firms in Los Angeles and not Sacramento, because Los Angeles has better real estate syndication firms. And you saw that in a LinkedIn comment. Do you see how it's so particular? You're articulating to the prospect their exact problems and their exact thoughts just as well as they are. They're like, damn, this person knows me. It's excellent. Cool. So the brief, here's an example. So you've got the prospect snapshot, name, title, company, location. Then we've got layer 1, which is professional. So business model, stage, recent win, public goals, etc. Personal, I won't be that dead horse. And then signal, you get the idea. And then you can utilize direct quotes against them. So anything they've said in their own words that hits verbatim with the source. So let's say, for example, Cole Gordon. Cole Gordon always talks about this hard temp check. That's something I learned in his sales process. So in my outreach, I could talk about hard temp checks. I could talk about his sales process, and I can utilize it in my outreach. And I could even have fun with it. I could be like, Cole, you know, I go do a hard temp check. And he will go, oh, wow, like this person's really listening. This person's actually consuming my content. Because the thing is that people just want to feel taken care of, and they want to feel like they're in good hands. And by you going the extra mile, you're going to highlight to them. And then connection to your offer. So in one sentence, how does what you do solve a problem for this specific person? So I will riff a real example for you. You could literally, so this is what I used to say for my content offer. You could say, I want to help you get an extra 20 inbound leads from content per month. Right now, you're getting literally 0. And I know you want to scale to 10 million ARR, and I want to help you do just that. Do you see how the offer that I've given them is a real tangible offer with a real result, 20 inbound leads. I highlighted, I agitated the problem of you're not getting any inbound leads, and then I tied it to the dream outcome of 8 million ARR. They're going to perk up and listen. And even Evan Seach, who I mentioned earlier in this video, he said to me on our call, when you said that you wanted to drive me to the 500K MRR mark, I knew I had to listen to you. Something to think about that. Amazing. So from research to outreach. So the single question that unlocks everything is, what does this signal enable me to do? What does this piece of information enable me to do? So that could be you're learning about their personality. So maybe you could reference that, or maybe their favorite sports team. Maybe you could reference that, or favorite book. You need to utilize all this information and turn it into weapons. Okay, you need to weaponize all of it. So could this only be sent to this one person? If yes, you've nailed it. So if they're talking about their sports team, they're talking about this, talking about that, talking about that, it will just need to be so unbelievably relevant to them. It can't be applicable to 10 people. You haven't done it effectively. Will the prospect feel seen? If yes, you've nailed it. So will they feel like you've gone to granular detail to impress them? If yes, then you've nailed it. Would they screenshot or share it? If yes, you've nailed it. So for me, I don't even say screenshot. I want them to share it with their partner. I want to share it with their family. That's the litmus test that I'm playing with here. And if you can't pass all 3 of these tests, then your outreach is weak and you won't be able to sign whale clients with it, okay? Whale clients are hard enough to sign in general. So you need to have all of these. So these are exactly some of the tools that we use. So LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is one of the best ways to learn a ton of this information. YouTube, long form interviews, their content. Spotify, podcasts as well. Personal newsletters, really good as well, because you can gain insight into their direct thinking via the form of writing. And then paid, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Apollo or Clay are both really good. And then podcast too. So last but certainly not least is you can score your setup. What's brilliant about this is that once you do this 3 or 4 times, it'll become intuitive. Like you'll start to do it immediately. This checklist, I don't even need to run it anymore, because I know when I make an outreach, I'm going to make it personal to them. I'm going to be able to give effective signals. I'm going to be able to explain why my business can help them achieve the next goal. And you need to be able to do that for your outreach too, because if you can, you'll just start signing dream clients like left, right, and center. And I've been able to do that like crazy. Now, all that being said, I want you to watch this next video here. It explains in detail why cold email isn't the move and why you need to be doing this outreach instead. And I'll see you for that one. Bye now.